Hey Guildies, Fletch here. Today I'm going to take a very deep, much needed look at the most important principle in all of the principles and values of the Agile Manifesto. That is principle number 5, which we can call the trust principle, and which I call the trust principle. And so let's jump into it. All right, principle number 5, the trust principle. Build projects around motivated individuals, give them the environment and support they need, and trust them to get the job done. It's pretty basic, but there's a lot of things in here that need to be interpreted, and I know I'm going to be doing my interpretation, and I'd love feedback on your interpretation to let me know how you would slightly change things, or even any way that you can be much more I guess, pro-agile in order to do this. Now, in order to read this, we need to take all of the other principles into consideration. So I thought about doing this one last, but I also think it's really important to read this. So we're going to say, what does build projects mean? What are motivated individuals, et cetera, et cetera? Let's start with the fact that this principle is speaking to business people. It's saying, hey, management, probably even upper management executive, these fiduciary types, and we're saying, hey, you need to do this thing, build projects around motivated individuals, which we're going to say, we're going to describe in a little bit, and hey, you fiduciary types, give them the environment and support they need, whoever these motivated individuals are, and I'll give you a hint right here. And trust them to get the job done. What is the job? The job is really, this is the job up here. What does trust mean? That's going to be a really, really deep and important answer that we need to answer. That's the most important part about this whole thing. Like, what does it mean? Because trust is the most important foundational requirement for the Agile principles. It's not the spirit. The spirit of Agile principles is continuously releasing to the customer, getting the stuff to the customer as continuous as you can in whatever the shortest time scale possible that you can deal with, getting it to them and getting feedback as much as you can. That's the biggest spirit. But as much as we want that spirit and the principle of, constant feedback, and that's the spirit of, we really need this, none of that's ever going to happen without this foundational principle. So we really only talk about this most foundational thing one time because it's not the spirit. The spirit is the goal we're trying to achieve with Agile principles. This is the rock that is required and is almost always missing from any Agile development team, Agile principled development team. All right, so let's get into it. What we're going to do is rewrite it. Ta-da! Okay, so like I said, we're talking to business people here. So we're saying, hey, business people. And I like to say, hey, fiduciaries, because a business person that we're talking to, management, directors, executives, things like that, these are individuals who are rightfully so mostly concerned with time and money. So on your iron triangle, you've got, we want to spend as little time as little time as we want and as little money as we want. And then you've got, and that's these people. And then you've got these people who want to be as right as possible. They want to work and work and work, and they want to engineer, and they want to get this work out as much as possible. And they're really excited about it, and they want to work and they want to engineer. The reason that they don't over engineer, if you're hiring the right team members, the reason they don't spend forever working on things and try to find that balance where I understand time and money is a concept that I don't have to have full understanding of. That's the executives and the fiduciaries' main responsibility. But I understand it. And the reason we know that is because our highest priority is to satisfy the customer. Rule number 1. So while developers want to work and make it perfect and, whatever, if you're hiring teams that understand Agile principles and who are who have matured in their career enough to understand this is an important rule, then it's not a concern. Okay, so we're talking to the fiduciaries, we're talking to the business people, the people who do the hiring, or the people who, yeah, who do the hiring. Not necessarily the people who are interviewing; those are probably going to be lead engineers and whatnot, but the people who push the button, do the signature to say, okay, we're hiring. Hey, business people, ensure your workplace is filled with the motivated, well balanced individuals needed to reach your vision. So the business people have the vision. You have the executives, you have the business analysts, and you have the stakeholders or the stakeholder advocates. You have these people on the business side who they understand the end goal for the product. They're not planning it word for word and creating mountains of documentation like they used to, hopefully. I mean, if they do, that's sort of on them. That's not part of what we're going to be dealing with. But they have the vision. They have as much vision as they can possibly have for what they want the product to be. And in knowing that, they should have a pretty basic understanding of how to fill the workplace with motivated, well balanced individuals who they need to reach their vision. So you can't just say, okay, we need some junior devs. You probably do need some junior devs because you need some people who are going to be working on some of the sort of more mundane things, getting the code out. It's like you got to write a lot of code here, but it's sort of the mundane code, and someone's got to do it. Some of the smaller bug fixes, we need people working on these things, versus the senior engineers who are sort of focused on security, cross-cutting concerns, the bigger picture of how the application works together, and some of the more in-depth, some of the higher level programmers, computer science, data science type people who are working on really squeezing the performance out of some of these algorithms. So you have to have all these different things. You need those people, the juniors, you need the mid and the senior levels, you need the software engineers, you need designers, you need the web developers and the UI developers, you need the UI UX professionals, you need DBAs, you need the platform engineers, and they need to be working together, collaborating constantly with the development team, following DevOps principles. You know these things have to happen. And if you business people as fiduciaries know the vision, but you don't exactly know who these motivated, well-balanced individuals are that you need to reach your vision, that's when you make sure that you have a chief engineer or somebody who knows these processes and can say, we need this many of these people, this many of these people, or you already have these, we need to hire one more platform engineer, or we need to hire one more software engineer. You need to have somebody who understands from the development side of the work, not the fiduciary side, the working side, who needs to exist in order to get this job done. So business people, you need to make sure that happens, whether it's you doing it or if you hire a chief engineer or a consultant who says, okay, I will make sure you get the right people on your team. You achieve this through good hiring practices, fair compensation, benefits, and fostering morale. So the fostering morale is the thing that helps with having motivated individuals. If you just happen to get the right people, and it's a horrible place to work because you make them work late hours, but you give them pizza, or you're yelling at them. There's a lot of places, surprisingly, that I've worked where executive level people are yelling at the workers. If you don't have this fostering morale ability where the working people, the developers, are happy with their job, then you're not going to have motivated individuals. And motivated individuals is important. So benefits and compensation and benefits and compensation are very important. It's about understanding what is fair on the market for the role and the skill level that you're looking for. So you might need a senior software engineer. I've told myself I'll stop saying that. A software engineer who's going to come on and they have all the skills necessary to do everything, but you say looking for, you put a job thing out there, job description that says looking for software engineer with 2+ years of experience and knows full stack, and paying you, I don't know, $50 an hour or something like that. That doesn't match up. You probably do need 2+ year experienced developers who are going to be doing a lot of coding, maybe even in different parts of the stack. Whether or not you should call them full stack or not, I would debate that. And you also need the truly full stack engineers who have spent multiple years in every single part of the stack and who understand the whole thing. Whether or not they work on every part or not, they need to understand it so they can help their other team members in pair programming and in all the other parts. So you have to understand where these come together to understand what people you need for your hiring practices. I can do this. You need to make sure you have good hiring practices, that you're not putting out junk job descriptions with not fair pay, and that you're getting the right people. So once you have these motivated, well-balanced individuals to reach your vision, you need to create a positive, collaborative workspace with the right mix of skills, tools, and resources. So this workspace isn't literally like a desk or a platform that has computers on it. This isn't the workspace. It could be a digital workspace. It could be an in-person workspace. Either way is probably fine. You need to talk to your staff and see what they want. Most of the ones I talk to want to all work remote, but it's up to them. I'm not going to force them to work remote if everyone wants to work on site. But you need to make this a positive and collaborative workspace. And the collaboration isn't just between business people and developers. This is the collaboration principle up here. It's between the business people and it's between the developers. So, and like I said, in this principle, the developers aren't just programmers. They're the ones developing the software from stage to stage. So that could include the DBAs, it could include the platform engineers, it could include the designers, which may or may not be part of the marketing team. These people who need to collaborate in this collaborative workspace, I think some of the biggest ways that we can say what does this mean having a collaborative workspace, other than between the business people and the developers. So just for the working team, that collaborative workspace is mainly for the platform engineers and the software engineers. We need a place where they can constantly be in communication to make sure that their continuous integration is matching. The platform engineers need to understand on the boundary what the software engineers are doing and what they need, and the software engineers need to know on the boundary of the platform what's needed from them and their software to understand that. And we need to work together to build this continuous integration platform. So create a positive collaborative workspace with the right mix of skills, tools, and resources. And this means the right mix of skills. So in your workspace, if you have these good hiring practices, you have a bunch of people who are a mix of people who you need to achieve your vision, then these people are sometimes there's more than you need for this one little project, but there's people working on different projects, and there's some people who are finishing their part over here, finishing their part over here. There's some people who are currently working on, I need to, quality requirements. I promised I'd start saying quality requirements instead of non-functional requirements. So quality requirements. They're working on quality requirements. They finished a project, so within that same project or that code base, maybe they're updating the framework to a new framework version. That everything has to happen, but they just finished something and no one else needs help pair programming. And so they're like, okay, well, I'm going to update this thing. They talk to the chief engineer or whatever. They're like, hey, I'm going to work on updating the platform to the next version. So that's what they're working on. Or, hey, I'm going to go pick up one of these bug fixes that are further down here because I finished my other work and I don't think we're ready to start working on things that are at the top of the list. So they're doing that. There's some people who are in this stage of done or finishing up with some of their other big projects. And so you have people who are in that stage who have the right mix of skills. You've got some designers, you've got some front-end developers, web developers, React.js, native React.js, all those types of people. You have the back-end software engineers and some DBAs and some platform engineers. You have these people who are like, okay, if something new comes along, We will rally around it and we will build a team. We will self-organize on these things that have to be done. You're not going to do that if you have if you're managing the teams and forcing them to be in certain spots at certain times, or if you don't trust the teams. You'll never get to this point. So you need these people, a collaborative workspace with the right mix of skills, tools, and resources. Tools and resources sort of means licenses for your IDEs, or licenses for your databases, or your platform, your Azure, your AWS, your Google Cloud, your on-site platform. These are tools and resources, but also tools and resources for personal growth. Maybe you give them subscriptions to personal growth websites like brilliant.com or something like that. This is not an advertisement. So tools and resources, you need to give these people that raises their morale, and it also shows them that you trust them. And trust your self-organizing teams to deliver quality software. This is the rock and the foundation of these principles. If you don't trust them, then none of this will work. 0% of this will work if you don't trust your team. But what does it take to trust your team? I'll get to that in a second. Let's go ahead and review build projects. So first of all, we're talking to business people, and build projects around motivated individuals really means build projects means understand your vision, understand your product, and what the big high level ideas are. It doesn't literally mean document and plan an entire project from start to finish in some big documentation. That's not what this means. As I discussed before, where I said, I think I was talking about right here for project, they weren't literally saying a project as in a Gantt chart or documentations that is a start to finish plan of something that's going to happen. They're using it as a very generic word that just means some work that needs to be done. And in this sense, since we're talking to the business people who are the high level visionaries, the fiduciaries who care about the product and the budget and the time, they need to consider those things around motivated individuals. Now, this is not saying grab some motivated individuals, like, okay, we've got one front-end guy, one back-end guy, designer, a UI UX professional, a platform engineer, a DBA, some testers. I think the developers should also be the testers most of the time, if not all the time. But we've got these people here. Let's build a project around them. What are your guys' skills? Let's build something around you. In a sense, saying that out loud, in a sense, if you can get together a group of people who are amazing and then find out their skills and chat with them, let's say, oh, what kind of product or project or what do we want to do? That is always a boon and always a positive thing. And that, I think, would be a great end goal. But in reality, the executives and the VP of product and whatnot, they already know what the product is they want to build. Maybe they can't express it very well, but they know what the product is they want to build. They know their target audience. They probably have funding coming from some sort of investor or something that says, okay, you got a product idea and we will invest in this. You've done market research. They already have all that stuff out there. They have that high level vision. So as true as the other thing is, what we're talking about is build projects around, as in near, within the vicinity of motivated individuals. And you only have motivated individuals if you have hired people who match all these skill sets that you need and who you motivate. So business people, ensure your workplace is filled with the motivated, well-balanced individuals needed to reach your vision. That's what this is saying. As much as it may also be saying the other thing, it's great to get these people together and say, what's your idea for improvements we can make to the product, or maybe even a side product? That should definitely be part of your business model. But that's not the normal everyday thing. With Agile principles, we're really trying to stick with how things should high level sort of work as the normal everyday thing in software development. But great side effect. I'll definitely say that. So you achieve this. Okay, so give them the environment and support they need. So the environment and support they need. Okay, you achieve this through this way. Okay, good hiring practices. And then give them the environment and support they need. Create a positive, collaborative workspace with the right mix of skills, tools, and resources, and trust them to get the job done. Trust your self-organizing team to deliver quality software. So I've sort of matched those up. I've discussed it ad nauseum, possibly, and I've matched those ideas up in a much more verbose way. They didn't want, I'm sure that the original writers didn't want anything verbose on here. And I could be even be getting some of their concepts, depending on which one you're talking to, a bit off sync. I would love comments from them directly on how I can course correct to interpret things slightly different. As far as I'm concerned, though, given my success with being an agile coach and working in places that are agile principled, this is the idea. This is the interpretation of principle number 5 that is foundational to making any of the rest of them work. Trust. Now, this principle is talking to business people and essentially saying, hey, business people, trust your guys or girls, trust your team. And that is true. But there's a huge hole in the word trust and in the idea that we're telling business people just to go ahead and trust the people who are on their team. And that hole has to do with our ability as software engineers and everything adjacent to that, software development, programmers, web developers, et cetera, being able to self-regulate. Why should they trust me? Why should you trust me? What makes us trustworthy? So step number 1 in the business people trusting them, which is us, is we have to be trustworthy. Now, if I am new to this, I like to say, a kid out of high school, because a lot of young, bright kids are coming out of school and they're ready. They're like, I've got a lot of promise and I've done a lot of research and I found a mentor and I'm ready to get to work. I say that, but you can also do the same thing. I don't mean young. You can do the same thing at 50, or more frequently like 30, where you've been doing something else, but at the same time you've been researching programming and you've dipped a toe in and you're like, this is good. And then you get a mentor and then you learn more about it. And then now you're ready to go. So you could also be 30. I'm just going to say young though. So you get these young individuals who enter the market and they've taken a lot of online tests and a lot of online courses, and they've found mentors and they've entered communities and they've built some projects and they look great. And then they get a job and their title is software engineer. And then you have a team of software engineers who have 2 years of experience amongst all of them, or just 2 years of experience each. And so you can say, I've got a whole team of software engineers and they don't know, and they're constantly breaking things and they're saying, oh, we should be doing test-driven development and be agile. And they don't fully understand or comprehend what that means. Even if you watch all of the videos I'm making on the principles, you still won't fully understand or comprehend what that means. If you could do my job just by watching my videos, then I'd be out of a job, obviously. But these people, as much promise as they have, these individuals are junior developers. You're a junior developer until well past 2 years, 2, 3, 4 years. You're not, if you consider yourself a software engineer at 2, 3, 4, 5 years, what do you call someone with 30 years of experience? Or let's just go up 7 years. Is that a senior software engineer? And then 9 years, is that a super senior software engineer? 11, 12 years? Super duper amazing. What do you get to 30 years? Now, I'm not quite a 30-year software engineer. getting pretty close. But the you're not a software engineer until XYZ. I don't know what that is, but it's not 2 years of experience. So what we need to do together is bring value to the word software developer or web developer or programmer, computer science. If you've done 4 or 6 years and you've gotten a master's degree in computer science and you're ready to go, you're a computer scientist. But you're a junior computer scientist, or you're an intern computer scientist. You're someone who's getting their first real job out of college, after college, of being a computer scientist. And then pretty quickly you'll become, give yourself 5 years of experience doing that, and you'll be a senior computer scientist. We need to give value to these terms so that when the business has a team of people, they have appropriate roles, they have appropriate titles, they have a skill that they say, my profession outside of this business, my profession, regardless of the title that this company has given me, is web developer, or is software developer, or is data scientist, or is software engineer. And in my other videos, I talk about why there's a difference between these terms and what it means. If we don't do that, and we don't self-regulate on what it means, I'm not telling you what it means, but if we don't self-regulate on what it means, then business people will never, ever, ever achieve good hiring practices. All the job descriptions will continue to say, looking for a software engineer, 2+ years of experience, or something like that. How will they trust the team? How will they trust the team if they hire a bunch of senior software engineers who have at that point 5 years of experience, and they have no industry support calling them senior software engineers? It's just the title that they're given is senior software engineer. I don't know how to call you a senior software engineer. It's something that and that's part of what this community is, this channel, and I'm hoping to get a lot more input, is that we need to come together and self-regulate. What does that mean? At what point can they trust us? What does that mean? So I'm putting a lot of onus on me and you to use appropriate titles, try to self-regulate, try to regulate yourself, not just let's have the industry self-regulate. Regulate yourself. If you have a couple of years of experience and they say, yo, you want more money? We'll give you more money and raise you up to call you senior software engineer. You say, well, no, I deserve a raise, not necessarily a promotion. I've been working here a long time. I'm showing that I'm really good at this. I want you to not only pay me more, I want you to get me a subscription to some learning website that will teach me more of the engineering practices, or more of, from being a programmer, I want to become a data scientist. So I want you to essentially pay for my college for that, or reimburse me for the college or something. You need to regulate yourself on making sure you have the right title and the pay. And in a lot of these cases, that should pay you more. So if you're a web developer, you focus heavily on React or Angular, a lot of TypeScript and JavaScript, a lot of HTML and CSS, and all the libraries that come with that, and all the different browser integrations and changes you have to do for the different browsers, mobile, web and mobile developer. There's a lot to that. And if they're just saying, you're a software engineer and you do mainly you're a front-end software engineer, which doesn't really make sense unless you're building Google Maps. You're a front-end software engineer. But if you're a front-end or a web and mobile developer, you should be getting paid more than you currently are. That doesn't mean they need to call you software engineer level 3.6 golden, whatever, or give you some weird title. If we can self-regulate, then they must trust us. As long as we just let them give us random titles and pay us whatever we want, and we don't really have our own rules, how are they going to trust us? They can't trust us. On the other hand, it's their fault. It's heavily their fault because of their bad hiring practices, because they just want to get because you business people, you fiduciaries, most of the time want to pay as little as possible for getting as much as you can as possible. You want to pay low prices and try to get away with as junior a team as possible. In one way, it's great. Let's have junior developers who are fresh to with a fresh vision of the latest and greatest patterns and not really patterns, but packages and platforms or frameworks. Let's get these young people. One of the problems with that is all of these young people or people new to the space, they're all learning TypeScript, and you're not going to get very far with just TypeScript. So you management hiring most of these young people who know the latest and greatest frameworks, which are all TypeScript based. You're not going to get very far with any sort of large scale. I wouldn't say corporate, almost enterprise level software. You can get some pretty good websites with some pretty functional Node.js backends, but they're not going to be anything large scale enterprise. That's great. Hire those young people or new to the tech industry people. But just hiring the cheapest, youngest, newest people is definitely not going to make you trust them. How are you going to trust them to essentially run your technology and do all the things in the agile principles, the spirit of in the spirit of the agile principles? You can't trust them. I'm not saying you can't trust people who are young. I'm saying they don't have the experience and engineering mindset and training needed to trust them to run an enterprise organization. It's just a fact. So, business people, stop your bad hiring practices. Stop being as cheap as possible, and one day you will be able to trust a self-organizing team to deliver quality software. So like I said, that's two sides of the same coin. Business people need better hiring practices, and they need to expect more from the people that they're hiring. So yeah, I'm saying hire people and expect more from them. Don't expect more than 40 hours a week, but expect more skill level from them. But also on our side, we need to show them that we're trustworthy and that we deserve that we deserve their trust. We value the term engineer, and I get into that. I don't want to skip ahead too far, but I know it says it in here somewhere. Continuous attention to technical excellence and good design enhances agility. This is the engineering principle. It's in a couple, I'll do this in a few days, but essentially, if we have actual engineers, chief engineers, software engineers, leaders, principal software developers on the team, then that enhances agility, and it's necessary for agility. Yeah. Okay, so there we go. That's principle number 5. It's the trust principle. It is speaking directly to business people, fiduciaries, who need to understand, first of all, that your position is heavily focused on time and money, which is great. That's what you're supposed to do, and that we understand that we aren't doing the budget reports and the time and the money. We're not the ones doing that or managing that. That's literally your job. If we did it, then you wouldn't have a job. We're doing software engineering and software development, but we understand that we communicate with you, we collaborate with you, and we are not going to over engineer and over tweak things. We're going to be trying to get things out in a very professional manner. So we understand that. You understand that. You need to ensure your workplace is filled with the people, and you need to build projects around motivated individuals, give them the environment and support they need, and trust them to get the job done. All right, this was a very serious, the rock, the cornerstone talk about the most important principle of all the Agile principles. And so I hope that you can take it with a grain of salt, but also think very seriously about it. Understand that trust goes both ways. We have to earn trust and they have to give trust. And I hope you like and subscribe. Put a comment in what you agree with, what you disagree with. And I hope to see you guys next time. Thanks.